Ladies and gentlemen, what if the biggest reason people overlook you has nothing to do with your talent? What if the real problem is that you've made yourself too available? Think about that for a moment. In today's world, everyone is trying to be seen. Everyone is trying to get attention. Everyone is trying to prove they're valuable. But here's the truth that most people never hear. The more freely you give away your time, your energy, your focus, and your standards, the less people value you. The marketplace doesn't reward what's common, it rewards what's rare. It doesn't celebrate what's easy to access. It celebrates what requires commitment. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve 10 times more than everyone else, even though they have the same 24 hours in a day? It isn't because they're luckier. It isn't because they're smarter. It isn't because they were born with extraordinary advantages. The difference is that they understand one powerful truth that most people ignore. Your time is the most valuable asset you'll ever own. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose a business and build another. You can even recover from failure. But once a minute is gone, it's gone forever. That minute will never return, no matter how successful, wealthy, or influential you become. So let me ask you a question that could change your life forever. Are you investing your time or are you spending it? Because those are two completely different things. Spending time gives you temporary comfort. Investing time creates a lifetime of freedom. Every successful entrepreneur, athlete, leader, and world-class performer has learned to treat time like a priceless investment, not something to waste on distractions. They know that every decision either moves them closer to greatness or quietly pulls them further away from it. Look around at today's world. There has never been more competition for your attention. Every notification, every endless scroll, every unnecessary conversation, and every excuse is fighting for the most valuable currency you possess. People think they're wasting 5 minutes here or 10 minutes there, but what they're really giving away is their future. Success isn't stolen overnight. It disappears one distraction at a time. That's why winners protect their schedules the way investors protect their wealth. They understand that every hour spent learning a skill, strengthening their body, building relationships, creating something meaningful, or improving your mindset compounds over time. Small actions repeated consistently create extraordinary results. That's the invisible power most people never recognize until years have passed. Think about the people you admire. Do you honestly believe they became exceptional by accident? Of course not. They became exceptional because they became intentional. They stopped allowing life to control their calendar and started making their calendar control their life. They stopped saying yes to everything and started saying yes only to what truly mattered. That's one of the greatest shifts you can ever make. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're automatically saying no to something that could transform your future. Every unnecessary commitment steals energy from your biggest dreams. Every hour spent chasing comfort delays the life you're capable of creating. Here's something most people don't want to hear. Being busy doesn't mean you're productive. You can spend an entire day running from one task to another and still accomplish nothing meaningful. Activity is not achievement. Motion is not progress. The question isn't whether you're working hard. The question is whether you're working on the right things. Winners don't fill every hour with random activity. They fill every hour with purposeful action. They wake up knowing exactly what deserves their attention because they understand that clarity multiplies productivity. Without clarity, you'll always confuse movement with momentum. Imagine waking up every morning with complete certainty about your priorities. Imagine knowing that every action you take is building the future you truly want instead of simply helping you survive another day. That's what happens when you begin valuing your time. You stop reacting to life and you start designing it. Instead of asking, what do I feel like doing today? You begin asking, what will move my life forward today? That single question has the power to separate average people from extraordinary achievers. High performers don't let emotions dictate their schedule. They let their vision dictate their schedule. The truth is, your calendar tells a greater story than your words ever will. You can say your family matters, but if you never spend quality time with them, your calendar reveals your real priorities. You can say your health is important, but if you never exercise, your schedule tells the truth. You can say you want financial freedom, but if you never invest time in learning, growing, or building new skills, your actions expose the gap between your dreams and your discipline. Your future isn't created by what you hope for. It's created by what you consistently make time for. Every morning, you receive the same 24 hours as the most successful people on the planet. The difference is never the amount of time, it's the value assigned to it. Stop giving your best energy to things that leave. You empty, stop donating your attention to distractions that produce nothing, protect your focus, guard your mornings, respect your commitments, invest your hours where they generate the greatest return. Because when you master your time, you begin mastering your habits. When you master your habits, you transform your identity. And when your identity changes, your entire life rises to a level most people only dream about. The clock is already ticking. The only question that matters now is this: what will you do with the next hour that your future self will thank you for? What if I told you that the greatest investment you will ever make isn't in the stock market, real estate, or cryptocurrency, but in the skills you carry inside your mind? Here's the reality that separates ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. The world doesn't pay you for how hard you work. It pays you for the value you create. Let that sink in. Two people can work the same number of hours, put in the same amount of effort, and still earn dramatically different results. Why? Because one has developed skills that solve bigger problems. The marketplace rewards solutions, not excuses. So ask yourself a powerful question. If everything you own disappeared tomorrow, would your skills be valuable enough to rebuild your life from scratch? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, that's not bad news. That's your wake-up call. We live in an era where knowledge is no longer rare. Information is everywhere. You can learn almost anything with a smartphone and an internet connection. Yet most people remain average because they consume information without ever transforming it into mastery. They watch videos, read books, attend seminars, and collect ideas, but they never develop the discipline to apply what they learn. Knowledge alone has never created success. Applied knowledge changes lives. The people who dominate their industries aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the ones who consistently turn learning into action. They practice while others procrastinate. They improve while others complain. They execute while others hesitate. Think about the individuals who become leaders in business, sports, technology, or entertainment. They weren't born irreplaceable. They became irreplaceable because they committed themselves to continuous improvement long after everyone else stopped. While others were looking for shortcuts, they were building expertise. While others chased comfort, they embraced repetition. Excellence is never an accident. It is the result of thousands of intentional decisions made when no one is watching. Every hour spent practicing, studying, refining, and improving becomes another layer of value that the world cannot ignore. That's how you stop competing with everyone else. You become so skilled that comparison becomes irrelevant. Here's the mistake that keeps millions of people stuck. They focus on getting a better job instead of becoming a better person. They ask, where can I make more money? When the better question is, what can I learn that makes me worth more? Income rarely grows beyond personal value for low. Promotions come and go. Economies rise and fall. Companies hire and fire. But the skills you build become part of who you are. No recession can erase your knowledge. No competitor can steal your discipline. No setback can take away the abilities you've earned through relentless effort. Your greatest security isn't your paycheck. It's your capability. Imagine becoming the person everyone turns to when problems need solving. Imagine walking into a room with quiet confidence because you know you've invested years into becoming exceptional at what you do. That's the power of mastery. It creates confidence that doesn't depend on compliments, titles, or applause. Real confidence comes from preparation. It comes from knowing you've done the work when others chose convenience. That's why high performers don't ask, how can I avoid challenges? They ask, what challenge will force me to grow? Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to sharpen their abilities and expand their potential. The world is changing faster than ever before. Technology evolves, industries transform, new opportunities appear every single day. The people who thrive in this environment are not the ones who cling to yesterday's knowledge. They're the ones who become lifelong learners. They stay curious. They adapt quickly. They refuse to believe they've learned enough. The moment you think you know everything is the moment your growth begins to die. Stay hungry, stay teachable, stay committed to becoming better than you were yesterday. Growth has no finish line. Stop measuring yourself against other people and start measuring yourself against your own potential. Every new skill you develop increases your confidence, expands your opportunities, and raises your value in ways that money alone never could. Read more, practice more, ask better questions, seek mentors, embrace feedback, fail, learn, improve, and repeat the process until excellence becomes your identity. Because the greatest advantage you can ever have is not luck, connections, or talent. It's becoming so valuable, so capable, and so relentlessly committed to growth that opportunities begin searching for you instead of you searching for them. That's the moment your life changes forever. What if the only thing standing between the life you have today and the life you've always dreamed of is the standard you've been willing to accept? Think about that. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they become comfortable with average. They settle for habits that don't challenge them, relationships that don't inspire them, routines that don't grow them, and excuses that quietly steal their potential one day at a time. Here's the truth that changes everything. Your life will never rise above the standards you refuse to raise. Success isn't created by occasional moments of motivation. It's created by the non-negotiable standards you choose to live by every single day. So let me ask you a question that demands complete honesty. What have you been tolerating that your future can no longer afford? Because whatever you tolerate today eventually becomes the reality you live tomorrow. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your standards. Standards are different from goals. Anyone can set a goal. Millions of people write down ambitious dreams every January, yet only a small percentage ever achieve them. Why? Because goals tell you where you want to go, but standards determine how you behave every single day. You don't rise to the level of your dreams, you fall to the level of your standards. If your standard is to wake up only when you feel motivated, you'll never develop consistency. If your standard is to quit whenever life becomes uncomfortable, you'll never discover what you're truly capable of. But when your standard becomes excellence, discipline, and relentless growth, your actions begin to align with the future you're determined to create. Look at the most successful individuals in any field. They aren't driven by convenience. They're driven by commitment. They don't ask themselves whether they feel like doing the work. They ask themselves whether the work needs to be done. That's the mindset that separates champions from spectators. Winners understand that emotions are temporary, but standards are permanent. They don't negotiate with their excuses. They don't lower their expectations because circumstances become difficult. Instead, they raise their level of execution. They understand that every challenge is an opportunity to prove the kind of person they have decided to become. Here's what most people never realize. Every decision you make is casting a vote for your identity. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're telling yourself, I am someone who keeps my promises. Every time you choose learning over laziness, you're reinforcing the belief that growth matters more than comfort. Every time you refuse to settle for average, you're creating evidence that excellence is becoming part of who you are. Identity isn't built in one dramatic moment. It's built through thousands of small choices that either strengthen your standards or weaken them. That's why success often looks invisible in the beginning. The daily improvements seem small, but over time they create extraordinary results that everyone else calls overnight success. Too many people spend their lives waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect conditions, or the perfect moment to finally give their best. But excellence has never been created by perfect circumstances. It has always been created by people who refuse to compromise their standards regardless of what was happening around them. When the economy changes, their standards remain high. When people doubt them, their standards remain high. When they experience failure, rejection, or disappointment, they don't lower the bar. They become stronger because their commitment is greater than their circumstances. That's real power. That's the difference between living reactively and living intentionally. Imagine what would happen if you stopped accepting excuses that you've repeated for years. Imagine deciding that being late is no longer acceptable, that breaking promises to yourself is no longer acceptable, that wasting hours scrolling through distractions is no longer acceptable, that settling for less than your best effort is no longer acceptable. The moment your standards change, your daily behavior changes. And when your daily behavior changes, your future begins to transform. You don't need more talent than everyone else. You need higher expectations for yourself than you had yesterday. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards performance. Potential means nothing without disciplined action. That's why people with average talent but extraordinary standards often outperform people with incredible talent and weak discipline. They show up consistently. They prepare when no one is watching. They keep improving even after they've achieved success because excellence is no longer something they do, it's who they are. They understand that every level of growth demands a higher version of themselves. Every new dream requires new habits. Every greater opportunity requires greater responsibility. From this moment forward, stop asking whether something is easy, comfortable, or convenient. Start asking whether it matches the person you're committed to becoming. Raise the standard for how you think. Raise the standard for how you work. Raise the standard for how you treat people. Raise the standard for how you use your time. Raise the standard for what you expect from yourself. Because the moment you refuse to settle for average is the moment average loses its grip on your life. Your future isn't waiting for more luck, better timing, or someone else's approval. It's waiting for you to become the kind of person whose standards are so high that success becomes the natural outcome of the way you choose to live every single day. Have you ever caught yourself changing who you are just to make someone else comfortable? Have you ever said yes when every part of you wanted to say no? Have you ever sacrificed your peace, your goals, or your values because you're afraid of disappointing someone? If you answered yes, you're not alone, but you are standing at a crossroads that will define the rest of your life. Here's the truth that most people discover far too late. The more you chase approval, the more you lose yourself. You cannot build an extraordinary life while constantly asking for permission to be extraordinary. Every time you depend on someone else's validation to feel worthy, you hand over the steering wheel of your future. Let me ask you a powerful question. Are you building a life you're proud of? Or are you performing in a life designed to satisfy everyone else? Because those are two completely different paths, and only one of them leads to real freedom. The desire to be liked is natural. We all want acceptance. We all want to belong. But when the need for approval becomes stronger than your commitment to your purpose, it becomes a prison. You begin making decisions based on fear instead of vision. You avoid taking risks because someone might criticize you. You silence your ideas because someone might disagree. You lower your standards because you're afraid success will make others uncomfortable. Without realizing it, you begin living a smaller version of yourself just to fit into spaces you were never meant to stay in. Greatness has never been created by people who tried to please everyone. Greatness has always belonged to those that have the courage to stand by their values even when they stood alone. Think about every influential leader, entrepreneur, athlete, or innovator you admire. Do you believe they reached the top because everyone supported them from the beginning? Absolutely not. They were criticized, they were doubted, they were misunderstood. Many were told their dreams were unrealistic, their goals were impossible, and their efforts would never pay off. Yet they kept moving forward because they understood a principle that changes everything. Respect is earned through consistency, character, and courage, not through constant agreement. They didn't waste their energy convincing people who refused to believe in them. Instead, they invested that energy into becoming undeniable. They let their work speak louder than their words. One of the greatest shifts you can make is learning the difference between being kind and being a people pleaser. Kindness is strength. It comes from confidence, generosity, and integrity. People pleasing, however, often comes from fear, the fear of rejection, conflict, or being judged. When fear controls your decisions, your potential begins to shrink. You start saying yes to commitments that drain your energy. You allow distractions to steal your focus. You permit toxic opinions to influence your self-worth. Every unnecessary compromise moves you one step further away from the person you're capable of becoming. Successful people understand that every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that truly matters. Your boundaries are not walls that push people away. They are standards that protect the life you're building. Every high performer understands this. They don't apologize for protecting their time. They don't feel guilty for prioritizing their growth. They don't allow negativity to rent space in their minds. They know that focus is impossible without boundaries. If you make yourself available to everyone, you'll eventually become unavailable for your own dreams. Every hour spent seeking approval is an hour stolen from building the future you deserve. Respect begins the moment people realize your priorities are not for sale. Here's another truth that many people struggle to accept. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's perfectly okay. Some people are comfortable with who you used to be because that version of you required less from them. The moment you begin growing, becoming more disciplined, and raising your standards, some relationships will naturally change. Don't mistake that for failure. Growth often reveals who genuinely supports your success and who only supported your comfort. You don't need everyone to clap for you. You need the courage to keep moving even when the room is silent. Confidence is built when you continue taking action without waiting for applause. Real respect isn't created by trying to impress people with words. It's created by keeping promises to yourself, by living with integrity when no one is watching, and by showing up consistently regardless of who is paying attention. Your reputation is built one decision at a time. Every disciplined action tells the world something about your character. Every moment you choose purpose over popularity strengthens the foundation of lasting influence. People eventually trust those whose actions remain consistent long after the excitement fades. They respect individuals who stay true to their principles under pressure because character cannot be faked over time. Stop asking yourself, will they approve of me? And start asking, will I be proud of the person I'm becoming? That single question has the power to transform every decision you make. Live by your values instead of other people's. Expectations, build your future instead of your image. Focus on creating excellence instead of collecting compliments. The people who truly matter will respect your authenticity, your discipline, and your unwavering commitment to growth. And those who don't were never meant to determine your destiny. The moment you stop chasing approval is the moment you reclaim your confidence, your focus, and your future. And that's when respect begins to follow you naturally, because nothing is more powerful than a person who knows exactly who they are and refuses to compromise the standards that define them. One of the greatest difference between the people who only dream about success and the people who actually achieve it isn't talent, intelligence, or even opportunity. What if it's something far less glamorous, but infinitely more powerful? It's discipline. Here's a truth that can completely transform your life. Discipline is what gives your value a price. Talent may attract attention, but discipline earns trust. Potential may impress people for a moment, but consistency earns respect for a lifetime. Let me ask you something that demands complete honesty. Can you trust yourself to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it? Because if the answer is yes, you're already building an advantage that most people will never develop. The people who become truly expensive in life aren't always the most gifted. They're the ones who become dependable. They keep showing up, they keep improving, they keep moving forward when everyone else is waiting for motivation to arrive. The biggest lie people believe is that successful individuals wake up every morning feeling inspired and ready to conquer the world. That's simply not true. They have bad days, they feel tired, they experience doubt, frustration, and setbacks just like everyone else. The difference is that they refuse to let temporary emotions control permanent decisions. They understand that motivation is unpredictable, but discipline is a choice. Some mornings you'll feel unstoppable, and other mornings you'll want to quit before you even begin. If your progress depends on your emotions, your future will always be uncertain. But when your progress depends on disciplined habits, success becomes predictable. That's the power of creating routines that don't require excitement to function. Every promise you make to yourself matters. When you tell yourself you'll wake up early, finish the project, read the book, exercise, or learn a new skill, and then you fail to follow through, you're doing more than missing a task. You're weakening your self-trust. Confidence isn't built by positive thinking alone. Confidence is built by proving to yourself over and over again that your actions match your words. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your identity. You begin to believe, I am someone who finishes what I start. That belief becomes one of the most valuable assets you can ever possess because it changes how you approach every challenge in life. Look at elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, military leaders, and world-class performers. Their greatness isn't created during moments of applause. It's created during the quiet hours when no one is watching. It's created through early mornings, difficult conversations, relentless practice, disciplined preparation, and countless decisions to keep going when quitting would have been easier. The world celebrates the victory, but it rarely sees the discipline that produced it. Behind every remarkable achievement are thousands of ordinary actions repeated with extraordinary consistency. That's what separates professionals from amateurs. Professionals commit to excellence regardless of how they feel. Amateurs commit only when conditions are comfortable. Here's another reality that most people overlook. Discipline is the ultimate form of freedom. At first, that sounds like a contradiction. People often believe freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But that mindset usually leads to chaos, regret, and missed opportunities. Real freedom comes from self-control. When you discipline your finances, you create financial freedom. When you discipline your health, you create physical freedom. When you discipline your mind, you create emotional freedom. Every area of life improves when discipline becomes stronger than impulse. Temporary comfort often creates long-term pain, while temporary discipline creates long-term rewards. The pain of discipline is always lighter than the pain of regret. There will always be people looking for shortcuts. They'll search for secrets, hacks, and quick fixes because they're hoping to avoid the hard work that success demands. But shortcuts rarely create lasting results. The strongest foundations are built slowly. Trees that grow too quickly often have weak roots. The same is true for people. Every challenge you overcome strengthens your resilience. Every obstacle teaches you patience. Every difficult season develops character that no classroom can teach. Discipline transforms struggle into strength and setbacks into stepping stones. That's why every difficult moment has value if you're willing to grow through it instead of running from it. Imagine the version of yourself that wakes up with purpose instead of excuses, who finishes what they start, who follows through on commitments, who refuses to settle for average, and who continues moving forward regardless of obstacles. That person isn't created by luck. That person is built one disciplined decision at a time. Every workout completed, every page read, every skill practiced, every distraction ignored, and every promise kept becomes another brick in the foundation of an extraordinary life. Day after day, those small victories compound into something powerful enough to change your future forever. Stop waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect circumstances. Those moments may never come. Start building the habit of action. Show up when it's inconvenient. Work when it's difficult. Improve when progress feels invisible. Keep your standards high even when nobody is paying attention. Because in the end, your value is not determined by what you say you're capable of doing. It's determined by what you consistently do. Discipline turns potential into performance, dreams into reality, and ordinary people into individuals whose presence, character, and results become so valuable that the world cannot help but recognize them. What if you've been chasing opportunities your entire life when the real goal should have been becoming the kind of person opportunities chase? Think about that for a moment. Most people spend years sending applications, asking for recognition, searching for the next big break, and hoping someone finally notices their potential. But here's the truth that changes everything. Opportunities are attracted to value, not desperation. The world has always rewarded people who consistently solve problems, create results, and inspire confidence. So let me ask you one question that could redefine your future. If the biggest opportunity of your life knocked on your door tomorrow, would the person you become be ready to answer it? Because success doesn't just arrive. It looks for people who have prepared themselves long before the opportunity appears. The marketplace doesn't reward those who ask for attention the loudest. It rewards those whose value speaks before they ever open their mouths. Think about the individuals who seem to have endless doors opening for them. It often looks like they're lucky, connected, or simply in the right place at the right time. But what most people never see are the years they spent mastering their craft, building their reputation, developing their character, and consistently delivering excellence when no one was watching. By the time the world discovered them, they had already spent years becoming someone worthy of discovery. That's why what appears to be overnight success is almost always the result of long-term preparation. Your reputation is one of the most valuable assets you will ever own. It follows you into every interview, every meeting, every partnership, and every opportunity. People may not know every detail about your life, but they quickly notice whether you're dependable, disciplined, honest, and committed to excellence. Trust isn't built through promises. It's built through consistency. Every project you complete with integrity, every commitment you honor, and every challenge you face with resilience adds another layer to the reputation you're creating. Eventually, people stop asking whether you're capable because your history has already answered the question. Here's something powerful to remember. Opportunities rarely come dressed as opportunities. More often than not, they arrive disguised as responsibility, hard work, uncomfortable challenges, or problems that others refuse to solve. Most people overlook these moments because they're searching for something glamorous. High performers think differently. They understand that every challenge is a chance to prove their value. They don't avoid difficult assignments. They volunteer for them. They don't complain about pressure. They grow because of it, while others are asking, why is this happening to me? They ask, what is this preparing me for? That simple shift in perspective transforms obstacles into stepping stones toward greater success. The people who become unforgettable are not those who seek the spotlight at every opportunity. They are the ones who make every room better because of their presence. They listen more than they speak. They arrive prepared. They solve problems instead of creating them. They bring energy instead of excuses. They lead with integrity instead of ego. They understand that influence is not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the most reliable, the most prepared, and the most trustworthy. When people know they can count on you, your value rises naturally. Respect follows consistency, not self-promotion. Never underestimate the power of becoming a lifelong learner. The world is changing faster than ever before. Industries evolve, technology advances, and new challenges emerge every day. Those who refuse to grow eventually become irrelevant, no matter how successful they once were. The individuals who continue attracting opportunities are those who remain curious, adaptable, and committed to improvement. They read when others are scrolling. They practice when others are procrastinating. They seek mentors instead of making excuses. They understand that every new skill, every lesson learned, and every experience gained increases their ability to create value wherever they go. There will be seasons when your effort feels unnoticed. You'll work hard while someone else receives the applause. You'll stay disciplined while others seem to move ahead faster. In those moments, remember this: your preparation is never wasted. Every hour invested in becoming better is quietly shaping the person you'll need to be when your defining opportunity arrives. Bamboo spends years growing an invisible root system before it suddenly rises above the ground. Your growth often works the same way. Just because others can't see your progress doesn't mean progress isn't happening. The strongest foundations are built beneath the surface, long before anyone admires the structure standing above it. Stop chasing every opportunity that promises quick success and start becoming someone whose standards, skills, and character naturally attract meaningful opportunities. Develop the discipline to deliver excellence even in small tasks. Build relationships based on trust rather than convenience. Let your work become your introduction and your integrity become your greatest advertisement. The world is constantly searching for people who can be trusted with greater responsibility. And those people are never ordinary. They're individuals who choose growth over comfort, preparation over procrastination, service over selfishness, and excellence over excuses. When you become that person, you no longer have to convince the world of your worth. Your consistency will speak louder than your words. Your results will create opportunities that money cannot buy. And your reputation will open doors that talent alone could never unlock. That's how you stop running after success and become the kind of person success is eager to find. Remember this: your life changes the moment you stop chasing approval and start building value. The world doesn't owe you attention. It doesn't owe you respect. It doesn't owe you success. But if you become disciplined, if you become consistent, if you become exceptional, the world eventually has no choice but to notice you. Stop giving your best energy to distractions. Stop making yourself available for everything that doesn't move your life forward. Protect your time. Protect your standards. Protect your purpose. Every decision you make today is either increasing your value or decreasing it. The greatest investment you'll ever make is not in the stock market, not in real estate, not in cryptocurrency. The greatest investment is in the person staring back at you in the mirror. Build skills that can't be replaced. Develop character that can't be questioned. Create discipline that can't be broken. One day people will call you lucky. They'll say you became successful overnight. They won't see the early mornings, the lonely nights, the sacrifices, the failures, and the relentless commitment that made you who you are. But you'll know the truth. So walk out today with one decision. Don't be common. Don't be cheap. Don't be available for mediocrity. Become so valuable that your standards become your signature. Don't be free. Become expensive. Because when you raise your value, you raise your life. Now go out there, take massive action, and show the world what you're truly capable of. Your future is waiting, and it starts today.